Hey guys, it's Cal from the Irrigation and Lighting Doctor here on another episode of Lawn and Garden Hacks. And today I'm excited. We're going to talk about landscape lighting techniques. So thanks to our friends at FX Luminaire and Hunter Industries, which is one of the leading brands and leading companies for residential and commercial irrigation parts and residential and commercial landscape lighting. Great company that produces great stuff. They've produced a series of videos to teach us more about all kinds of the different techniques, and they've interviewed top contractors from all over the United States, and that's what you're going to get inside this podcast. Is you're going to get the recording of all those interviews talking about all the different techniques and tricks and tips that you can use if you're looking to add landscape lighting to your yard. If you're a contractor or a handyman or an electrician or somebody who wants to get into landscape lighting, listening to some of these techniques and tools will set you apart from 95% of the industry. After meeting some of these guys and talking to them, I've learned that even a lot of companies and a lot of contractors out there that do install landscape lighting just don't take advantage of nearly as many of the tools and tips that are available to them. So you're going to get that in this podcast. So I hope you guys enjoy. And like always, please send me your comments and your questions. We love getting your feedback. Enjoy the show.
Welcome to Lawn and Garden Hacks, presented by the Irrigation and Lighting Doctor, where we share all the best time and money-saving tips, tools, and ideas for all you do-it-yourself weekend warriors who want to have the best-looking home and gardens on the block and be the envy of all your neighbors. Be sure to follow the Lighting Doctor on Facebook and YouTube for more amazing lawn and garden hacks. And leave your comments and questions. We love your feedback.
Uplighting is the most popular technique for outdoor lighting. Let's take a look at a few designs that you can use in your next job. So John, when you come up to a new site, such as this, what's going through your head when you try to figure out a design?
The first thing I think about is where am I going to be visually seeing this property?
Mm-hmm.
Where am I going to be spending the most of my time? Mm-hmm. From that area, I want to create a beautiful backdrop, a beautiful area to look at.
Tell me what you have in this situation here.
Yeah, in this island, we have a few things going on.
Okay.
The first thing we did with the boulders,
Yeah.
We used the PB wall wash light.
Mm-hmm.
The PB wall wash light puts out a softer, wider light.
Okay.
And we thought that'd be perfect for the boulders.
Now, why not use a typical spotlight in front of each boulder?
The uplight or a traditional NP, it would be too harsh of light for that boulder.
It would be. It would be. I really love the wide spread of the PB. It gives a very clean and consistent wash of the boulders.
Right.
Now, what proximity do you have them installed at?
It really depends on the size of the boulder
Okay.
and the light you're trying to get on the boulder.
So what's your general rule of thumb?
On these size boulders on the smaller side, we go about 12 to 18 inches. In some areas where the island bed cuts out, we have to put the wall wash light a little closer to the boulder, which is okay. It still puts off a fantastic light.
Okay.
But in an area where you can't, you just got to go as far as you can.
I gotcha. Now, you have, looks like you have a combination of wall washes and then uplights. Tell me what is happening with the uplights.
That's correct. We chose uplights on the two trees we have in this area with the crepe myrtle and the tree over here.
I see one, looks like one uplight at each tree. Tell me why you selected one versus two or three.
Correct. We chose the uplights for the maple and the tree behind me for, they're a little bit sharper of a light,
okay.
and they really illuminate the trees very nicely. And the placement of the fixtures, we're trying to focus on illuminating this area from our point over this way. We have the walkway here, and when you're walking or you're driving down the driveway, it really shows this area very nicely.
Yeah, it does. And what I especially like about this area is you do not have a lot of competing light sources.
Correct.
Therefore, you do not always need 3 fixtures around each tree when one light is sufficient without that competing light source.
Exactly correct, yeah.
So John, behind this island, we have the structure of the house, and it looks like you do have some architectural lighting to go with it as well.
Right.
How do you decide how that interacts with the island itself?
We wanted to kind of bring your eyes off the house just a little bit. And we did that with this island and with the wall wash and the trees to kind of capture Instead of just seeing, the house, we wanted to bring some color, especially these trees, some color into the area.
Now, what is the difference between the intensity of the island area versus the house itself?
Now, the house it's got a little more lights, and it's all one kind of material, so it's going to be a little stronger up against the house compared to the island.
Okay. So you definitely want the island to stand out a little bit more as the focal point of the setting.
That's correct.
Okay, great. So John, you have a phenomenal rock structure here. Tell me where you even started to light up something such as this.
This was quite the project.
Yeah, it was.
We used multiple lights here.
Okay.
And the first thing we did, we wanted to light up the walls. The boulder walls are incredible.
Yeah.
They've got 3 levels of boulder walls. And we used the PB3
Okay.
wall wash light, spaced about every 12 feet on all 3 levels of the wall. Incredible. But we didn't want it to be one-sided. We tried to bring a little depth to the project.
And how did you do that?
We brought the depth by using the NP uplight.
Okay.
And with that uplight, we illuminated most of the trees, if not all the trees.
So that must have created a lot of work in terms of the design. What did you do beforehand to plan for such an event?
It did. Well, watching them build this was incredible. Again, we were all about where you were going to be seeing this project. And the main focal point was the pool and the patio.
Okay, that's where we start. Okay. So from that point, you decided on putting the PBs where?
Every 12 feet. Now here, since the walls are so tall, we didn't put them as close to the wall. We brought them back.
And how far back do you think you
Here we were about 2.5 to 3 feet.
Okay.
In order to get light, some of these walls are 10 feet tall. So we needed the light to go not only wide, we need to go up the wall.
And then for the trees themselves, did you do one for every tree, 2 or 3?
We did mostly one,
Okay.
but for the main trees, some of the center trees, we used 2. We had it from both angles.
And both angles because there's multiple viewing points, right?
Correct.
Tell me about your lighting plan here.
Yeah, so on the front of the house, we have 2 separate lighting needs.
Okay.
We have the landscape and as well as the architecture of the home.
Okay. Now, so let's start with landscape then.
Sure.
How did you decide to light up this section, maybe this maple here?
On this maple, we chose the PB wall wash. Now, it's a little smaller of a maple, and it's real wide.
Okay.
So instead of using 2 uplights, we used 1 wall wash.
Well, I'm sure that helps with the width of the canopy.
That's right. It looks great.
And it probably saves the homeowner a little bit because you need 1 fixture rather than 2. Maybe
Exactly.
it simplifies your design too.
Exactly.
Good. Tell me about the architecture then.
Sure. On the architecture, we used uplighting, and we have 1 uplight on both sides of the window.
Okay.
And then we have 1 uplight behind the bush, and it's going all the way up to the peak.
Okay. Well, focusing on that really probably takes the light out of the window. Is that right?
That's correct. We strategically put the uplight behind the bush to kind of guard the window from the light.
Interesting. Now, what happens as that bush grows?
Right. What we would like to do when the bush grows is come in with a 12-inch riser to get the light above the bush and back up to the peak.
That makes sense. That makes really the light pretty consistent, I would think, around the stonework and kind of keeping the light out of the window itself.
That's right.
So, John, tell me what you have going on here.
We have a boulder wall, and on top of the boulder wall, we have landscaping and a few trees.
And so how did you decide to light this area?
The wall, we use the PB wall wash.
Yeah.
We wanted more texture on the wall.
Okay.
So we used it 2 feet. The further you go out, you lose that little bit of texture.
Okay, so close to the wall, lots of texture, farther from the wall, what, a very flat
Yeah, you start
look
to
to it?
flatten out your wall a little bit.
Okay.
Which is a fine look.
Sure, so what about the trees here?
The trees, we use the uplighting, and our viewing angle is from over here. So of course we used 1 uplight going up the tree.
Yeah. Now in this case, you used 1. Do you ever use 2 or 3, or when do you decide to do that?
Yeah, as the tree grows, sometimes you might need to add a second light.
Okay.
That it might be 2, that might be 5, 6 years.
Okay. So it just depends on the time frame and the growth of the tree.
That's right.
And even the various viewing angles for the homeowner, is that correct?
That's correct, yep.
Now, what about the pruning of the tree? Is that important?
Yeah, as the foliage grows, it sometimes blocks the light. We always recommend the homeowner prune maybe once or twice a year.
And that's important because the foliage blocks the light, but yet the branching structure is really highlighted by the light itself. Is that right?
That's exactly right.
Okay, so the light can really go much farther than the tree, and you can take advantage of less light, really, if you keep the tree very well pruned.
Exactly.
Uplighting is the most dramatic type of landscape lighting. Let's review some basics. Trees are traditionally illuminated with uplights, with a special focus to ensure all areas of the tree are highlighted from the necessary viewing areas. Use long shrouds or hex baffles when the light source is visible to your general audience. Focus on lighting the trunk and branching structure of a tree instead of the leaves. Always ensure that the tree is properly pruned. Wall washes are a great option for shrubs, walls, and boulders. To add light while hiding the fixture, use in-grade lights. Don't forget to highlight the architectural features of a house. Uplights are the most impactful way to bring color into a landscape. By adding a few colors, uplights can create fun looks and themes. I hope you learned some new techniques for uplighting, the most popular form of lighting that we see today. For more information, go to fxl.com. Pathways are one of the most popular areas to install landscape lighting. Today we will talk about 3 types of lights to light up those paths, including uplights, downlights, and even standard path lights. Let's take a look. Wow, we're at a great day here.
Yeah, it's so nice today.
All right, so John, tell me a little bit about this pathway and how you decided to light it.
Yeah, so here we have the traditional path lighting.
Okay.
We're alternating from side to side. We're evenly spaced out between each path light, and we're spaced about 8 feet between each path light.
And why 8 feet on this path light?
We chose 8 feet to we want an even light throughout the walk.
Okay. Now, did the height of the riser for the path lights affect the distance in which you spaced it?
It did. So we used a 12-inch riser on these path lights. If we were to use the 18-inch, we could probably space out the path lights a little more, as it's going to put out a little more light.
And what do you think that spacing would be? 10 feet, 12 feet?
I think 12 feet for the 18-inch riser would be perfect.
Okay, I definitely agree. That was a good call to bring them a little bit closer. This sidewalk is a little bit inconsistent with the rock and the media intermixed with the sidewalk, so it's definitely a good call to keep it on the safe side for this situation. I love the colors here. This is great.
Yeah, it looks really good.
So John, tell me about how you designed these stairs here.
Well, the main staircase from the house to the pool are these stairs. Okay. So they're very important to be illuminated. We used 2 different approaches. The first way we did was with the traditional path light.
Okay, yeah.
The traditional path lights are great. They put off light not only on your steps, but you're going to get the plant material below the path light. Yeah. The second way is, my personal favorite, is we use the PB wall wash light. And what we're doing with this light is we're putting light on the boulder as well as the plant material and getting a residual light back towards the path light.
That is my favorite way to light up not only pathways but stairs as well. So I'm really glad to see that you did that. Now I see that you have copper path lights, but they have begun the patina process. Tell me about how long that took from first installation when you had the shiny brass and copper to what you see now.
The patina process varies on the weather, but from what we can tell in this area, it usually turns a month to a month and a half in.
Okay.
And to get in this darker color, it's going to take maybe 4 to 5 months.
Okay, interesting. It's a beautiful look. It's a very natural effect, right. And I'm glad to see that you chose that natural look for the path lights. This is a great path.
Yeah, we thought so too when we first started the design here. And so our challenge here was to continue to light this path, but since on the rest of the site we hadn't really used path lights, we needed to find alternative ways of lighting this path. Yeah. So we hung up a few pendant lights from some of these trees, and then we have some down lights as well to kind of glow this path here.
Yeah, that's great. I love how the uplights next to the trees are really provide a lot of residual light that really light up the pathway anyway.
Yeah, and it definitely does do that nice little ambient glow coming off of these trees in here.
Yeah, and I love how path lights are probably the second most popular fixture that people use. But we don't always have to use path lights. Using the pendants as you did, some directional downlights. I think I see a JB up here in the top. Those are great ways to light up the pathway itself without even having to use path lights.
Yeah, and it's great that we had those options to go to, because it was a challenge to find a way to light this path without the path lights.
Yeah, it looks great. I love it. All right, let's see what else you have.
Okay. Different approach with some of the pathways and driveway lighting here. We'll see a better example of it right over here.
Okay.
As we kind of walk through this entrance to this path here, we use these NLs, just kind of highlight this entrance.
Oh, that's nice. You could really highlight the entire post, as well as it probably gives you a really clean transition of light here at the center.
Yeah, you get nice little pool of light, makes this kind of an inviting pathway to come down.
Perfect. What else do you have over here?
So you can see we did focus in on the driveway using those posts. So we staggered these posts and used DE downlights.
Okay.
All along this area. Gives nice little wash effect across the driveway here.
Well, yeah, it's a very wide driveway, and a typical directional path light would not come near the length of that. So I think it's a great application to use a DE downlight. It'll get you a very wide spread, and it'll be able to wash the entire pathway. So I think that's a great application.
Yeah, and at night it looks fantastic with the stagger, and we're really happy with the way it turned out.
Nice.
And then here also we have these boxwood globes. We wanted to do something a little different just to mix up the effect a little bit. So we put some PBs for a nice soft wash behind on this nice green wall, and then kind of silhouette actually each of these globes, and that way we get kind of a different effect. So we can kind of combine a few different effects here and not just always uplight everything, and kind of gives a nice silhouette of these round globes.
Well, that's nice. How many PBs did you put along here, or how did you know how far to space them?
Yeah, so we kind of toyed back and forth what we were supposed to do on that, but we ended up doing every other because there's a fair amount of them here. Okay. And we didn't want to kind of blow the homeowner away with too many lights. Just give them an example of that effect, that silhouetting effect.
Yeah, those PBs do a great job because they're very widespread. So I could see that being a great application there. So Mark, tell me a little bit about this site.
So again, we're in another site here in my town, and it's a property that's very quaint and personable, and we need to look and see what FX features really would enhance this property.
Okay, and so what did you choose?
We chose PMs.
Yeah.
For the most part, obviously, we're using it for a path light.
Okay.
But the best part about this light is it's bleeding over into the landscape beds and highlighting the plants, and even over into a decking space that we have over here too.
PM is a unique application for lighting paths because typically on a path light we don't want to see the source of the light, we just want to see the effect of the light, right?
Correct.
But in this case we're actually making the bollard itself as a marker light as well.
Yep.
So we see the source. But my favorite part about that source, it's very diffused, it has a solid acrylic lens, and so it allows the light to bleed into a variety of different areas. So Mark, tell me about the controllability of these fixtures.
All these fixtures on this site are all ZDC.
Okay.
So maximum amount of creativity for the homeowner.
Yeah. So with the ZDC capability, do you find that the homeowner's changing the colors a lot?
I do. For example, they don't put Christmas lights up anymore.
Okay.
They're able to do it by just changing the colors of the ZDCs.
Great. You know, my favorite part about the ZDC is not only that you can change the colors for special events like Christmas or special holidays or events that we're celebrating, but the fact that you can always go back to white makes the ZDC capabilities complementary to any landscape.
Very much so.
So Chris, tell me what you have here.
What we've got here is we're standing in the lawn area. It's kind of a play area, gathering spot in the evenings for families and kids. Transitions into a annual bed with the flowers being changed out several times throughout the year. And then we've got a fountain there behind us as well.
Okay, so why did you use path lights in this area?
We chose path lights for two reasons. We wanted to create a barrier at night to separate this area from the planting and the fountains so that parents could see their kids if they started to run this way. Yeah. We also wanted to illuminate. They pay a lot of money to get these flowers put in several times throughout the year, so we wanted to go ahead and make sure that those were illuminated as well.
Now I noticed with the path lights you used a higher riser. Why so?
We chose the 18s over the standard 12 because we wanted to get more light output, throw further into the bed and throw further out onto the grass here. It's more of a safety feature, going up higher, getting more light out here because it is a public place.
Okay. And with the higher riser and the wider throw, how often were you able to space them?
We went about 10 feet here. General recommendation, whatever your linear length is, divide that by your number of fixtures and just make sure that there's an even pattern of light.
Okay. Perfect.
Well, Ryan, this final area here, we're trying to get some light over to the gates, just to kind of make people aware of the entranceway into the pool.
Yeah.
We had a couple choices here. We could have used some path lights, but we decided to go with the FC ground wash. This is unique. It's low profile. It's not going to get kicked or bumped, broken. With path lights, you got a lot of kids and families coming through here with pool toys. Path lights we thought would get destroyed and knocked over.
Well, what I like about the fixture is it's very unobtrusive. It's out of the way. Most people wouldn't even see that it's there during the day, and the light source is really hidden at night.
That's true. They don't see it during the day, but at night it does a really nice cast of light right across this hardscape. But
Perfect.
this worked perfect for the application.
Let's recap some pathlight fundamentals. Traditionally, pathways are designed with pathlights. Stagger the placement of each fixture for a classic look, or align them evenly for a more modern look. Since pathlights are usually installed to enhance nighttime safety for pedestrians, spacing should be consistent along the entire path. When you have a tree or structure above the pathway, use downlights to bring a natural light to the area without drawing attention to the fixtures. If you have a high traffic area and you can't use downlights or pathlights, FX Luminaire also has in-grade lights and wall lights that wash the path. Downlighting is the most natural effect that you can create for your landscape lighting design. In this video, we'll walk you through a few steps and techniques that you can use in your next project. So let's take a look. Downlighting is the most natural lighting technique. Use downlights to softly illuminate gardens, shrubs, and landscape vegetation during the late evening and at night. Downlights installed in man-made structures like pavilions, gazebos, or trellises provide a nice light to high traffic areas. When you install downlights above a tree canopy, you can achieve a very dramatic moonlighting look with shadows. You can also use downlights to illuminate walkways or areas with changing elevation. Mark, this is a nice landscape that you have here. Tell me what's happening.
Well, again, I think we found the perfect application for a JB downlight
Okay.
to highlight our landscape bed down here.
So you're using downlights, looks like directional downlights, highlighting, is it just this area or is it spreading out to the paths?
Well, there's a little bit of bleed over, but because we use the longer hoods on the front of the JBs, it really does centric the light slowly in this bed, but it does give a wonderful glow to it.
What I like about your selection here is you don't need any path lights. It's not, there's no tripping hazards, nothing for anybody to kick over. You're isolating the light source at the top. It really allows the light to transition smoothly, and it makes a very inviting and comfortable look for those who are in this space.
Completely.
Now, Mike, we're at the edge of the property in the backyard, and we're underneath this great tree. Tell me a little bit about the tree, this area, and how you decided to light it.
Okay, what we have here is an old mature Palo Verde, which really kind of lends itself to different aspects. We certainly get the height, which is you have to take advantage of here in Arizona because not a lot of trees grow tall. But when you have an instance like this, we chose to put a PS hanging light here with, you can have a 3, a 6, or a 9 LED in it. As the tree matures or grows larger, you can certainly adapt to that aspect. But the benefit of it is you really get your bang for the buck, and for one fixture, you really encompasses quite a bit of light.
Now, I like your use of the PS because this is an unusual use of this fixture, right? It's typically a surface-mounted downlight,
right?
But in this case, we've put a hanging bracket mount on it and used it as a pendant. But you only used one. Now, tell me, what are the benefits of using a single downlight as opposed to typical uplights that you might find?
Well, in my opinion, I really like the aspect of the hanging light, and due to the fact that we have such a great amount of height, that one light can do the job of 2 or 3 other lights if they were lower. Now, with that, it will look very natural because it kind of moves with the type of bracketing system that we have. The hanging bracketing system illuminates the tree, so it's still, even though it's a long way away from where the people might be standing, they still can appreciate the character of the tree, and it does a really great job of lighting the flora around it.
Now, did you light other trees this same way with just a downlight and no uplights?
It's kind of, yes, we do that on occasion. We mix it up, to kind of give a variability of intensity on different trees and things, just to give it a little, just kind of a flowing texture of light is basically the concept behind that.
And what helps you make that decision? What is it? What makes a tree better for downlighting as opposed to a tree better for uplighting?
Okay, well, I think that a lot of the trees out west here lend themselves to uplighting just due to the beauty of the nature of the bark and the buildup of the tree. We try to incorporate the downlighting just to kind of give a balance and a little bit of difference between the different lightings, just so your eye kind of tricks your eye into seeing more than one effect. You can go either way on that. That's kind of what your restraints might be and what your budget will accept.
So Chris, tell me a little bit about the lighting plan that you have set up over here.
We're standing at the entryway into the residence. We've got 2 beautiful specimen trees, an olive and a Palo Verde here. Okay. What we did was we decided to do downlighting to kind of accent this, along with the uplighting on the trees. It kind of differentiates this residence from the other residences in the area.
So what is unique about downlighting? Why do you decide to downlight a tree?
Downlighting is the most natural form of light. It's what we're all used to seeing, and contractors seem to always want to just uplight. But what it does is it just brings a different effect coming down through. It helps you illuminate plants and annuals on the ground below.
Okay, so it looks like you've selected to downlight in 2 ways, with a directional downlight, like the JB up there, and then a few pendants. So tell me about it.
Yeah, what we used was the J-box mount on the JB fixture up there to illuminate the inside of the tree, the multi-trunk Palo Verde, and also catch the specimen plants that are below.
And what is your goal when you aim or direct that directional downlight down at the tree? What is your goal in trying to create?
Our first goal is to hide the source of the light. Okay. So what we do is we use the limb along with the shroud on the JB fixture to help shield that, and then our next goal is to just get the interior of the tree that's usually not illuminated with uplights.
Okay, and you're really highlighting the branching structure, right? Even skimming that one, the first one all the way down.
Correct, yep.
I bet that's going to look great. What about the pendant lights, the VEs and LEs?
Yeah, we use 2 different types here. We went with the LE, which is the 1 LED, a little bit softer, and then in the center here we went with the VE to kind of throw a bigger pool of light.
Okay. And what does that natural pendant light kind of create? What does it do?
It does a very nice job moonlighting, creating shadowing if you can get up into the secondary canopy. Okay. Illuminates this area if the people are traveling up or down, for parties and whatnot. Just gives a safety feel.
Yeah, I bet it does. It's very natural, inviting, and even I like the smooth transitions of light. You don't get a lot of hard lines when you have hanging pendant lights.
That's correct. All right, Ryan, we're currently standing in one of the cabanas here at the hotel. There's about 18 of them that face the courtyard adjacent to the hotel rooms.
Perfect. So tell me about the lighting aspect here.
When we got to the hotel to do the initial walkthrough, we'd noticed that there were no porch lights or any kind of exterior lighting on the hotel, especially on these patios.
Okay. So what lighting did you add?
What we decided to do is we went ahead and did a hanging down light, kind of in the patio to give a nice ambient light back here.
Perfect. Now with these pendants, I noticed that you installed it right here at the edge of the cabana as opposed to more in the center. Why did you make that decision?
We brought it out to the edge for the purpose of illuminating the differentiation between the hardscape and the softscape.
So what does that do for the guest here?
What that does is as they're traveling out to head to the path, it gives them a good illumination of the hardscape and the transition to the softscape.
So tell me, Chris, a little bit about this area that we're lighting now.
This area is actually the courtyard of the hotel. It's kind of the center meeting place, and we've got palm trees lining both sides of the grass area.
Yeah, you do. There's how many, like 23?
There's
24?
23 total palms.
Wow, okay, great. So in an area as high traffic as this area with the courtyard, how do you decide to light this area?
We took a couple things into consideration. We wanted to bring out the aesthetic beauty of the palms.
Okay.
That was number one, and number two, we wanted to bring out make sure it was safe to travel through here at night.
So focusing on aesthetics and functionality, what type of lights or categories do you use for that?
We'd use downlighting for the safety aspect. Again, the higher we can get the fixture, the more light output or the wider area you're going to get with the light.
Okay.
We've got JBs and DEs on the palms, probably about 15 feet up, shooting down onto the path.
Okay. All right, perfect. So really the downlights are really more of a functional light?
Functional and safety, yes.
So now we're talking about just this tree in general, but it's really not just this one tree, right? It's both trees along the entire side?
It's a very large area. Again, these trees are probably 15 to 20 feet apart, and there's 23 of them, and we've also got across the other side of the lawn area.
Now we've got a nice wide open space. Okay. And what this is going to allow us to do is, light the hardscape and the grass area.
Okay.
Now the challenge here is they got a big golden retriever, right? So we didn't want to put a lot of path lights that the dog could trip on. And so what we did was we looked up.
Okay.
And right here we have a 20-foot eave. So we can tuck some JB downlights up in there, and we can downlight and moonlight from up that area.
Now, coming from so high, maybe close to the house, how do you make the light transition smoothly without making a harsh circle on the ground?
I think the big thing is the elevation that we're coming from. So we're so high up that we can angle it just a little bit, and we can evenly wash the area.
Interesting. Now, also, what about the color temperature? I mean, warm light on the grass, how's that going to look at night?
Well, typically when I downlight, I like to use moonlight effect. So what I'm going to try and do is go away from an incandescent. And with the FX options, it allows us to switch the filters. So I can go from an amber to a blue filter. And the blue filter is going to kind of color balance with the moonlight.
Now, is it a really harsh blue that we're talking about, or something more lighter?
It's actually so light that you don't even really notice it. It's lit by low voltage, but when you're out here, it doesn't look like it's lit at all. It's just safe and secure.
Perfect. That's the perfect effect for this wide space when the homeowner wants to use it at night.
Yeah, exactly. And there's one other thing with the dimmability of it. We can have settings for party mode where it's nice and lit and bright, and we can also dim it down for security in the evening.
Perfect. Without a doubt, the most exciting part about landscape lighting design is lighting trees. There are so many types of trees and so many options available to you from FX Luminaire. Let's take a look.
So this is the backyard of the pool house area.
Wow, this is great.
Nice, open, spacious backyard. A lot of good lighting opportunities back here.
What was a favorite part of yours in this property here?
We were able to light some of these really nice large oak trees and redwood trees.
Okay.
They kind of lend themselves to lighting, but getting the right angles and all that was really fun on this project.
Now, with a tree that large, how do you know how many fixtures to use?
It's become one of those things where you kind of go a little bit off feel, but generally with anything of good diameter, you need at least 2 lights. But with a lot of these trees, we did 3 to 4 on them just because of their size. If you try to just do 1 light on a large oak tree, you only see half the tree, and it doesned look very good.
That's what I've found on trees as large as this. You really need multiple fixtures to be able to compensate for the very various viewable angles. Right?
Correct. Yeah, and that's one of the big concerns. You always have to make sure that you take into account where is this going to be viewed from, and since this is a kind of a sweeping landscape, it's viewable from almost all sides, so we kind of had to hit those trees from all sides.
And on that same topic, I love how you used hex baffles in all the fixtures just to cut down on even more glare.
Yeah, you can get by without them, but anytime you're going to get within a few feet of that fixture, especially near pathways or anything, hex baffles are a must. Because that's one thing that kind of really ruin a good install is that bad glare that you can get. So yeah, hex baffles are not very expensive. It's a good investment.
So tell me about the downlighting that you did in those large trees. How do you decide how many downlights or where they're going to go in order to create the effect that you're creating?
Yeah, downlighting is an important aspect, especially in a sitting area like that. You can only accomplish so much with uplights, more from the artistic side, but to get some actual functional light, it's important to get some downlights. And so this area I don't think would be the same without having some nice downlights in that area. As far as how many, you can definitely overdo it sometimes, and we wanted to make sure that we did just enough so that they have a nice usable light, but almost like it's not there. You don't know where it's coming from, be able to hide the lights and just see the effect of it.
I love the effect of natural downlighting because it makes things feel more comfortable, inviting. It also creates a lot less contrast that I find as we're moving throughout the property. So I really enjoy that.
Agreed.
Now, when you're installing a fixture way up in the tree, what are some techniques that you use to be able to get it there and make it last there for a long time?
Yeah, so a few things are really important that you do. Obviously, trees grow, and so you want to make sure that when you're securing it, you do it in a way that allows for growth. And there's a few different methods of doing that. But one thing you don't really want to do is just pin it as hard as you can to the tree. It may look good for a few weeks or months, but pretty soon that wire is going to get embedded or break, and you may get a short or something. So paying attention to those little things are always good. Definitely using things that won't rust or corrode, so stainless steel components.
I even like to use the zip ties that allow to provide room for the cable to move up as it grows in terms of length, as well as to allow you to be able to add to your maintenance plan to allow for the growth of the tree as well.
Yeah, and I agree, and that's a method we've recently adopted, and we've had really good success with that same method.
So Mike, we're at the center of the driveway here. It looks like a roundabout section of the driveway, right? And this looks like a pretty important section of the area. Can you tell me about it?
Yeah, absolutely. This is a very important part of the area, and it has a beautiful ironwood in the center, which is like a very desirable tree. It lends itself to lighting very well. Okay. So we have several aspects of lighting. We have uplights. We have hanging down lights, soft hanging down lights. We have directional down lights pointed in order to all kind of do their own job and really bring all aspects of the lighting to full bloom in this area.
Well, that's a great point about they're all doing their own job. So what jobs specifically are the uplights doing here, in the in-grades?
Okay, the in-grades, now these give us a nice spread of lighting and kind of shows the texture of the underneath of the tree. You see the benefits from that, from all the underside of the beautiful tree and all the foliage and everything like that.
Now you use 3 of them. Why 3 of them?
No, there's actually 4 here.
4.
And because in this type of an area, it's very important from all angles, and there's going to be people viewing this from every side, and I don't want there to be a weak side, so I try to give it 360 degrees of coverage.
Great. So why use an in-grade as opposed to more of a stake-mounted uplight?
Well, for me, I prefer not being able to see the source of the light ever. The KG is actually one of my favorite fixtures. It's virtually bulletproof. It cannot be maladjusted by errant landscapers. You can step on it and all kinds of things, and it won't change the adjustability of it. It fits virtually imperceptible to the ground. You can't see in it. It's fully adjustable. There's just a lot of things that I really appreciate about it, and it keeps performing the way you intended.
Great. So let's move to another category, the directional downlights. You have
Yes.
JBs there.
Right.
How many are here? 3?
Yep.
And why use directionals like that?
Well, the specific advantage of that in here is because of it being an ironwood, and a lot of the western trees have really beautiful bark. The client really likes to see that accentuate the beauty of this when it is such a focal point of when you're coming in. And those really give you the ability to be able to see the texture of the tree, the beauty of it, and it kind of focuses a little bit higher. So you have the underneath part lighted, and then you have the downward light, so it kind of encompasses the whole nature of the tree.
Now, how do you know where to aim those directional downlights?
The best, most surefire way is to come at night and kind of adjust it. But I mean, just through experience and things like that, you might have to do some fine tuning at night, but you'll be happy with the result.
So you mentioned you're concerned about the glare in the in-grades. How do you get rid of the glare from up in the tree like that?
Well, all of those fixtures come with a pretty substantial shield, which is fully adjustable. So you have to be kind of cognizant of where the people are going to be viewing the tree from, most likely. But generally, with such a shield, it's shielded so strongly that you can prevent the source of the light from being in your eyes.
And do you use the branches themselves as a glare protection?
That's a very good point. There's a lot of branches. You can kind of hide it back in the nooks and crannies behind there to let the tree kind of work for you in that aspect.
That's great information, Mike. What about their pendants? I see maybe 5 or 6 pendants around the tree. Where are they aimed, and what function are they doing?
Well, I really love the pendants because they kind of hang from the tree and they kind of flow in the wind. And at night they'll give you the nice flowing shadows. But their main purpose for me is to give kind of the outer lighting, the general, like kind of analogous with a wall wash, basically in this instance, where it will kind of give us a soft, general, subtle lighting around the exterior.
Now, with 3 different categories, in-grades, directional downs, and the pendants, are they controlled independently?
Yes, they are.
And what value does that give you?
It's always good to be flexible, to be able to adjust. Like if we have a party at night, we can have them all on and everything like that. And then, the individual controlling gives you flexibility as far as a nightly aspect, or just to be able to change the color or either the intensity of the light.
My favorite way to zone areas like this would be to turn off the in-grades at, let's say, 11 o'clock, but keep the pendants on throughout the evening.
That's right. And it just gives you a soft light, so a lot of people have security concerns, and that they can still be able to see through their yard and make sure that, everything, it's just really beautiful and soft at night. I really like that aspect of it.
I do too, Mike. Thanks for showing me. So, Chris, tell me about the lighting plan that you developed here around this tree area.
What we did was we took into consideration where this tree sat on the property.
Okay.
The road comes in from this direction. There's a sitting area up behind us there that the family spends a lot of time at. So we wanted this tree to be visible from multiple angles.
And so for how many fixtures did you decide here?
We decided that 3 to triangulate it would be the best course of lighting it.
And what effect does uplighting create for the homeowner?
What they're going to be able to see with the uplighting from this position and this tree on the property is that deck's raised. If we were to do downlighting, it's going to light below the tree in the canopy. They're not really going to see it from the deck. This way, with it going up, it's going to light up through the canopy, and they'll be able to see it from multiple angles.
Interesting. So now I also noticed that you elected to use in-grade KG fixtures as opposed to a typical stake mounted, like an NP or an FP.
Correct.
Why in-grade versus stake mounted?
We went with the in-grade here because the railing allows you to come forward enough that if there was the above-ground bullet style uplights, they can cause glare issues when someone looks down. This way, this fixture here, the KG well light, is just throwing light directly up, so there's not that glare issue.
I like in-grades as well because it allows the light to start right at the base, rather than if you have a stake-mounted fixture, light doesn't really start until the first foot or so. So you have a lot of darkness down at the base of the trunk.
Correct.
What about maintenance? Does it save on maintenance a little bit, or cost some extra bit?
No, the KG well light is a great fixture. The maintenance guys aren't going to kick it and knock it out of alignment. They're not going to break the stake. It's definitely a good choice for this property.
So here we basically have a typical palm tree.
Okay.
In this case, it's a big, wide palm tree. It's a canary palm. And what we wanted to do was light it evenly, give it some depth and dimension. It's an anchor point for the yard. And so instead of just putting one big fat light on it and kind of flat lighting it, we chose to use 2 of the NP uplight fixtures.
Okay. And so why just 2 in this area?
Well, you're really not going to see it from the back, and we didn't want to see the beam from the front, so this gives us enough depth and character, and it gets the job done. Because we didn't know if we were going to go with a wide wash light or something a little bit more compact. And in this case, the NP, it gives us kind of both.
How so?
Well, because we were going to go with just a regular, LED and just give it, the warm tone and call it good. But when we did the lighting demo, we used some color. So we used ZDC.
Yeah.
And that did 2 things, really. One, we gave us an option to change the color on the palm tree. And what we were looking for is just a warm look. And we were able to get the exact pop that the customer was looking for. And as a matter of fact, they didn't even know they were looking for, but once we started experimenting with color, they saw that. So in my experience with using color, it's kind of, you could go bright color and really make it wow, and patriotic colors with the red and blue if you wanted to in this case. Yeah. But one of the things we want to do is we wanted to make it subtle, but yet make it pop. And so what we were able to do was just warm up the trunk of the tree by using a little bit more of the brown, of the orange scale to highlight the brown in the trunk. Okay, so when you're adjusting that hue and maybe the saturation, you really like to finesse that to really make all the colors pop. Yeah, I mean, I like to try and give you a high definition lighting appeal so that when you're looking at the landscape, everything kind of has its own place, but then certain things pop out at you. Well, that's a great tool to use because it's not just those, I call them the Vegas colors where they're very intense hue, right? It's a combination of those for the special events when you need them, but really let's go back to a white that you need for an everyday event or everyday evening. And that's really the benefit of having ZDC because you can have the special events and you can always bring it back to white. Yeah, it gave us a lot of options. And then there's an optics kit on the ZDC, which gives us a nice wide beam spread as well. So okay, so that gives you the flexibility of color as well as allowing you to have that wide spread to highlight the large canopy. Yeah, so we can hit most of the canopy and give us a nice warm tone on the trunk. Great, well done. Thank you. Trees are key to most landscape designs. Trees are traditionally illuminated with uplights, with a special focus to ensure all areas of the tree are highlighted from the various viewing angles. Use long shrouds or hex baffles when the light source is visible to your general audience. Focus on lighting the trunk and branching structure of a tree instead of the leaves. Always ensure the tree is properly pruned. When you install downlights within a tree canopy, you can achieve a very dramatic moonlighting look. Because trees are vital to most landscapes,
They can be illuminated with color to create fun looks and themes. I hope you learned some new techniques for lighting trees today. For more information, go to fxl.com.
Hey guys, thanks for listening, and be sure to follow The Lighting Doctor on Facebook and YouTube for more amazing lawn and garden hacks. And leave your comments and questions. We love your feedback and look forward to talking with you again real soon. Have a great week.